3 miraculous days after death, Jesus reveals the devil's most deceptive sin leading to hell. The village of Hathersage was cloaked in a heavy solemnity as they gathered in the chapel, their breaths mingling with whispered prayers for John, Mary's beloved husband. Mary's heart ached, feeling as if a piece of her very soul had been severed. The flickering candles cast playful shadows across the stone walls, but darkness loomed in the hearts of the villagers as they wrestled with despair. Would their prayers truly reach the heavens? Could the God they loved hear their cries? On that first night, an undeniable presence filled the chapel. The air thick with reverence, an unearthly light shone through the stained glass window, bathing the congregation in hues of red and gold. Some members, eyes wide with astonishment, declared they saw the figure of an angel fleeting among the beams of light. "St. Jude, we implore you," echoed Mary between her soft sobs, the words gaining strength as they flowed into the air. She sought solace, a miracle she desperately craved. Here was the sanctuary, a place of salvation through grief. The angel seemed to whisper, "Hold on, Mary. Hope remains." On the second day, as dawn kissed the village awake, doubt began to cling like morning fog. What if our prayers are in vain? A voice murmured, sending ripples of unease through the pews. Eyes darted nervously, a palpable tension settling among the faithful. Villagers questioned if doubt could lead them to hell, a stark reminder of their fragile faith. Yet somewhere within, a flicker of resolve remained. If we invoke the name of Jesus, ventured an elder, even as shadows of despair crept closer. Then came the third day. Mary, weary yet devoted, knelt alone beneath the flickering altar candles. There, in the depths of her sorrow, a vision erupted. A figure cloaked in radiant light. Jesus stood before her, his eyes like twin stars piercing through the night. "Mary," he said, his voice like rolling thunder yet gentle as a dove. "The devil's most deceptive sin is despair. It breaks faith, pulls souls into darkness." Every word reverberated, awakening her spirit in an explosion of divine truth. The chapel shimmered as the congregation hushed, captivated by the transfixing moment, the walls trembling with sacred promise. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can, leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue. In the aftermath of that revelation, the air thickened with anticipation and uncertainty. John's spirit, shimmering like dawn breaking over the hills, appeared a figure of sheer love and grace. "My beloved Mary," he whispered, an echo of divine affirmation washing over the congregation. "Faith transcends all boundaries, even death." The villagers gasped, witnessing the miraculous exchange, hope igniting a fervor deep within them. They grasped each other's hands, hearts uniting against the clutches of doubt that pressed against them. Yet, as joy began to sweep through the chapel, a profound question lingered in their hearts. If despair was the greatest deceiver, how would they protect their newfound strength? Would faith be enough when the shadows returned? As the light shimmered and the spirit of love enveloped them, they stood on the precipice of a deeper understanding, still yearning for guidance. The chance to conquer not just their fears, but to transform their faith awaited them beyond that divine moment. What further miracles would unveil in their battle against darkness? The path ahead glimmered with both hope and uncertainty. As the village of Hathersage settled in that sacred moment, hearts began to mend amidst the hope that Jesus had awakened. Mary could hardly comprehend the warmth surging through her, it was as if the flickering candles had ignited a fire in her soul. Tears streamed down her cheeks, their salt mingling with the palpable joy that now filled the chapel. "Look!" someone cried, their voice slicing through the enveloping silence. "Look at the altar." All eyes turned to where a golden light gently cascaded from the altar, illuminating the sacred space. The congregation buzzed with excitement, a holy energy coursing between them, binding their spirits together. They felt a divine invitation to rise above their earthly burdens and grasp the extraordinary promise of faith. With faint but growing confidence, Mary stood, clasping her hands before her heart. "My friends, our prayers have not gone unheard. John is with us." Her words emerged stronger than she anticipated, they echoed with authority, stirring hope in those who had faltered. But as joy swept through the chapel, a new voice of uncertainty whispered in the shadows. "Yet how do we sustain it? What happens when the light fades, and the whispers of doubt return?" It was Timothy, the village blacksmith, his brow furrowed with the weight of truth. His question cut through the brightness as darkness often does. "Remember the words of Jesus," Mary replied, her eyes reflecting divine resolve. "We must lean into our faith daily. We must support one another. Together, we can stand firm." Their voices rose in collective agreement, blending into a beautiful chorus. "Together, we can stand firm." A deep silence followed, as they breathed in the shared strength of their union. In that hushed reverence, the village recognized a truth: though life had presented them with agony, pain, and doubt, together they formed an unbreakable chain of faith. Each link represented a story, a prayer, a heartbeat united in pursuit of light. Yet, even now, deep in the hearts of many lingered a question: was it truly possible to shield their spirits from despair? As if sensing their anxiety, a gentle breeze swept through the chapel, whispers tousling the hair of those present. It felt as though angels were brushing past them, encouraging them to delve deeper into the depths of their hearts. As they turned their attention back to the altar, surprised gasps filled the space. A delicate flower bright and bold had emerged from the cracks of the ancient stone. Its petals unfolded gracefully, revealing a vibrant center that shone despising darkness. The villagers marveled, hearts resonating with understanding. Hope could bloom amidst despair, defying the very odds that sought to repress it. Mary knelt once more, this time allowing gratitude to puddle in her soul. She realized that faith, while constantly tested, could also transform. "Let this flower be a reminder," she proclaimed softly, lifting her gaze to the villagers, "that even in the shadows, we can find beauty. Even in our depths, faith shall blossom." As they collectively gasped at the miraculous flower, a new ripple of determination spread through them. They exchanged glances of renewed vigor, and slowly, one by one, they began to murmur affirmations of faith and gratitude. Each declaration held the power of unity: together, they were a chorus of resilience. Yet, the question echoed too: the weight of doubt still lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon. What storms were still to come? Would they find the strength to rise against such tempests? The chapel, alive with energy, held its breath, waiting for the next revelation that would bond them further. Above them, the angelic whispers nudged faintly against their consciousness. What lessons did the divine still have in store for the hearts of Hathersage? Their souls were poised on the edge of understanding, waiting to be swept away once more by the winds of heaven. As the golden glow from the altar began to dim into a soft ember, a palpable sense of expectancy hung in the air. Mary's heart raced, each beat echoing in her chest as though the very pulse of the earth had quickened with the congregation's renewed faith. Her spirit danced between joy and a lingering trepidation, as if she stood on the brink of a revelation yet to unfold. "Gather close," she urged, her voice steady and clear, "for now is the moment we must listen, truly listen beyond the noise of our fears." One by one, the villagers moved nearer to the altar, as if drawn by an invisible force, their faces illuminated by the fading light, reflecting a collective yearning for understanding. Entranced by the flower still blooming at the foot of the altar, Mary felt a whisper brush across her soul, an invitation to a deeper understanding. It seemed as if the flower spoke through its beauty, echoing the divine promise that everything was indeed possible through faith. A familiar presence wrapped around her, a knowing that she needed to share. In our quest for joy, she spoke softly, her eyes searching the faces around her, we often forget the darkness that can cloud our hearts. The shadows of doubt, jealousy, and fear. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. These are the roots that can strangle our spirit. They hide behind our smiles, whispering untruths that lead us astray. Timothy shifted uncomfortably, the weight of her words hanging in the silence. But how do we guard against such insidious thoughts, Mary? His sincerity was felt in every heart present, a reminder that they were not just witnesses, but participants on this journey of faith. By anchoring ourselves to the truth of his love, Mary replied with gentle fervor, and by sharing our burdens with one another. When we reveal our struggles, we illuminate the darkness. Love dispels fear, like the warmth of the sun banishing the chill of night. A murmur rippled through the crowd. They exchanged understanding nods, acknowledging their shared human experience. Even the strongest souls had moments when doubt crept in, but together they resolved to face those shadows. Suddenly, a soft breeze danced through the open doors of the chapel, carrying the fragrance of wildflowers and something more ethereal, an unmistakable sense of grace. The villagers looked toward the entrance, half expecting a vision to appear, yet they found their own hearts swelling with the awareness that the divine had indeed drawn near. Perhaps, another voice emerged from the crowd, this time belonging to Eliza, a wise elder among them. The greatest deceit we face is believing we are alone in our struggles. Shame silences us, but love flourishes in the light. Her gentle wisdom resonated deeply, weaving threads of unity among them. I felt shame, a young voice quivered, breaking through the older youth of the group. A girl stepped forward, her eyes glistening. I've doubted my worth, and it has stopped me from standing up when I should. Her honest confession stilled the room. An unspoken understanding passed between them, and Mary saw the truth of it. The more they shared, the more their burdens lifted. Each revelation lit the way for someone else to follow. What if our light shines brightest among each other's darkness? Mary mused, her spirit soaring with newfound enthusiasm. We are drawn by love, created to uplift one another. If we can stand together in the face of turmoil, we become an unstoppable force. Just as hopeful smiles began to bloom, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, reminiscent of the storms looming overhead. As if orchestrated by destiny, a pinpoint of brilliant light burst from the altar, illuminating the chapel with a vigor that resonated deep within their hearts. Look! The light returns! Someone exclaimed, breaking into a thunderous applause, lifting their voices in joy. But amidst the warmth and love, another question arose, one that flickered in the recesses of their minds. Would they be prepared to face the truth when it arrived? Would they recognize the deceptive sins that cling to the shadows? The atmosphere thickened with anticipation once more, destiny poised to reveal its mysterious ways. Would their unity strengthen enough to combat the lurking dangers yet to come? The energy of expectation pulsated through them, holding firm in the knowledge that dawn would come, regardless of the darkness surrounding. The light lingered, wrapping the villagers in a warm embrace that seemed to cling to their very souls. As the whispers of the crowd faded, Mary felt her heart swell. In that luminous moment, she understood the power of unity. It wasn't merely a concept, it was a living, breathing connection amongst them all. Listen well, she beckoned again, her voice rising above the soft rustling of fabric and the beat of every eager heart. We have felt the cleansing touch of shared vulnerability. Let us not retreat. Instead, let us delve deeper into what binds us together. Yet in the depths of her joy, shadows still loomed. A shiver of realization coursed through her veins. The storm outside rumbled warningly, a reminder that nothing good comes without resistance. The adversary prowls, always waiting to exploit their fears. What if, Mary continued, her words laced with conviction, the darkness that clouds us isn't just ours alone but a collective struggle? What if we challenged the very fabric of the lies that isolate us? The faces around her brightened with realization. Eliza's wise eyes shone with understanding. We often see obstacles as barriers, she spoke softly, but what if they were stepping stones? What if every trial we face is meant to mold us into stronger vessels of His love? In that moment, a stirring arose from deep within the congregation. Voices floated softly through the air, sharing small stories of struggle and triumph. One woman spoke of addiction that had held her captive, while a man shared how a deep betrayal almost shattered his faith. Each story birthed an atmosphere rich with hope, sparking fire in weary hearts. Then, Timothy raised his hand, trembling but determined. And what of our differences? What if those differences keep us apart when we celebrate diversity that brings us to Him? Mary nodded, her heart stirring with the possibilities being painted in the room. You're right. Our unique stories are threads that weave a beautiful tapestry, held together by His grace. Just then, a resounding crack echoed from the storm outside, shaking the walls of the chapel. It felt as if the skies themselves were unveiling the divine grandeur. A figure of light appeared briefly at the altar, shimmering with glory that left the villagers breathless. Gasps of awe filled the room, and Mary grasped the edge of the altar, absorbing the moment's intensity. Fear not, the voice echoed powerfully, yet tenderly. I am here to remind you of the power within you together. Do not let darkness deceive you into believing you are without strength. The greatest battle lies not outside, but within each heart. Mary felt a surge of warmth wash over her. The essence of that truth shimmered deeply in her. She lifted her hand to the light, waves of anointing flowing from her fingertips. Let us hold on to this moment. For what was shared here tonight is invaluable. Each of you carries a spark of His light. The force around them surged, sparking discussions of faith, connection, and hope. They began to pray, each person voicing their desires and fears, pleading to be instruments of His will. And yet, amidst the collective spirit soaring, a seed of unease grew. What hidden traps awaited them? Would they falter when faced with true adversity? As they prayed, thunder boomed louder, an echo of unrelenting trial looming ahead. Would their collective faith withstand the inevitable tests that sought to unravel them? The question hung heavy in the air, a beckoning invitation to explore the mysteries of dark and light. What would it reveal when they faced the fiercest lies head-on? What new understanding of divine love awaited them just beyond the horizon? In the quiet thrum of anticipation, they gathered close, their hearts open to whatever came next. The storm raged on outside, yet inside the chapel, a different tempest brewed, a storm of hearts and minds awakening to a profound shift. Mary sensed it. The air felt electric with urgency and purpose. Together, they were edging towards something transformative, a revelation yearning to unfold right before them. Let us remember, she said softly, her voice cutting through the loud clash of thunder, that even in the darkest shadows, His light is the guide we seek. As she spoke, her gaze swept over the villagers, each face reflected flickering candles of hope. Timothy shifted uneasily, the weight of unvoiced concerns tugging at him. What if we confront the lies we've believed? What if discovering these truths leads us deeper into the void rather than closer to Him? His voice trembled, but his intent was clear. Mary stepped closer to him. Each journey has its hills and valleys. It is the confession of our fears and doubts that paves the road to faith. Remember, even the greatest believers questioned. Job, David, and even the disciples faced their trials, yet it was through those very struggles that they found strength. Across the room, Eliza's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. We can't shy away from the difficult parts of our stories. It is those very hurt places that can become the ground for healing. Then, as if on cue, the room swelled with shared emotions. People began to nod, murmuring affirmations of understanding. One after another, they began to share their pain, the haunting memories, the regrets that clung like cobwebs. I once thought I was too far gone, came a voice from the back, a man whose face was worn yet determined. But it was my acknowledgement of weakness that allowed me to see His grace. The honesty of that statement rippled through the villagers. They felt understood. Walls were crumbling, and shackles of guilt were loosening. The light from within them surged forth, mingling with the light that filled the chapel. Together, we are stronger, Mary declared, her voice rising above the heartbeats thrumming in unity. Let us embrace what has been hidden and let His love expose the depths of our despair. For in vulnerability, we find redemption. As the thunder roared again, it no longer felt threatening. It seemed like a heralding call. The storm outside became a metaphor for the storms within, ones that they could conquer together. In that moment, a silent agreement passed between them. Their lives, once separate, began weaving together in a shared tapestry of faith. They grasped hands, closing their eyes, forming an unbreakable chain of unity that stretched across the chapel. And then, as if the heavens themselves were acknowledging this sacred moment, a gentle voice resonated among them. In surrender, you shall find strength. The greatest deception lies in believing you are alone in your trials. As the words washed over them, a light brighter than before shimmered in the air. Their hearts aligned with expectation. They understood now, the journey ahead wouldn't just be a test but an opportunity for profound revelation. Their differences, their struggles, and their faith were all converging into something much greater than themselves. Yet, a whisper of hesitation lingered. What awaited them beyond the revelation? What adversities would they face together as one? With hearts trembling in anticipation, they opened their eyes. The atmosphere felt charged, as if the very fabric of reality was thinning away, inviting them into the divine. What glorious truth awaited them in their fight against the darkness? Would they uncover the deeper meaning of His love and grace, illuminating their path forward? In this fragile moment, as the storm roared one last time, they stood united, eager to step into the next chapter of their journey. Within the flickering candlelight of the chapel, as shadows danced upon the walls, a silence fell like a soft blanket over the gathered congregation. Hearts, still pulsating with the energy of shared truths, now beat in reverence. Each villager held their breath, waiting for the next thread of revelation to be woven into their collective tapestry. Mary stepped forward, sensing the gravity of the moment. "What if," she began, her voice a gentle breeze, "the darkness we face is not just an enemy, but a teacher? What if the very trials we dread hold the lessons we need most?" Her words stirred the air, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Timothy, still wrestling with doubt, spoke up. "But to confront those lessons means we must first face our fears, and that can be terrifying." The unease in his heart mingled with the hope that flickered around him. "Fear is a natural response," Mary replied, her gaze steady and resolute. "Even our beloved Jesus felt the weight of it in Gethsemane. Yet he pressed on. He understood that true faith doesn't always silence fear, it walks alongside it." A shiver ran through the chapel, and Eliza nodded, her heart stirred by these powerful truths. "Perhaps we need to reframe our understanding of fear," she suggested. "Instead of avoiding it, let's acknowledge it as a stepping stone toward deeper faith, a catalyst for growth." Murphy, an older villager with years etched into his weathered hands, leaned in. "In my darkest days, it was the shadows that led me back to His light. I realized that the devil's greatest deception isn't just in creating fear. It's in persuading us that we are alone in it." A murmur of agreement rippled through the congregation, a chorus of shared pain and realization. "You are not alone," Mary exclaimed, her voice a clarion call to their weary souls. "We are bound together, not by our strengths, but by our vulnerabilities. Let us shed the weight of isolation and embrace the truth of community. It is in our unity that we are fortified." As Mary's words echoed, the storm outside seemed to howl in response. Rain lashed against the chapel windows like a divine percussion. The light inside shimmered, refracting in all directions, illuminating hidden corners of their hearts. What had once felt like a fierce tempest now transformed, becoming a synergistic dance of faith and vulnerability. "Let us pray," Mary urged, closing her eyes, her spirit resonating with the conviction of their shared purpose. "Let us lift our fears and burdens to the One who can carry them." Hands clasped tighter, they began to pray. Words spilled forth, raw and honest. Some offered pleas for strength, others gave thanks for the grace they had been shown. In essence, they were voicing their humanity, acknowledging the shadows while inviting in the light. In that sacred moment of prayer, something profound shifted. The air crackled with a presence, a reminder that they were not mere mortals wrestling with fear but warriors in the light of the divine love, each heart a vessel of hope. And then, as silence enveloped the group once more, Mary whispered, what lies ahead of us is not devoid of trials but filled with divine purpose. God's plan is unfolding, and His love is breaking barriers. We must be ready to face what the enemy has tried to keep hidden. In that pregnant pause, each person felt a stirring in their soul, awakening a resolve they had yet to fully comprehend. What challenges awaited them on this path? Would they discover a deeper understanding of love and grace that would echo through generations? Could they summon the courage to confront the very things that threatened to pull them apart? The tension hung thick in the air, a divine invitation layered with unspeakable mystery. As the wind howled its song outside, a new chapter awaited, one where revelations loomed ever closer, waiting to illuminate their souls. As the storm raged outside, a sense of anticipation settled over the congregation. The air felt charged with possibilities, as if the very heavens were tangled in their unspoken desires. Mary opened her eyes, gazing at each person gathered in the chapel. The journey ahead, she said, her voice steady, is not just about facing external challenges, it's about confronting the darkness within us. What if the devil's greatest sin is convincing us that we are not worthy of redemption? What if every fear and doubt we cling to is a thread woven into our self-imposed prison? A hush fell over the chapel, hearts grasping the weight of her words. Each villager wrestled with their own insecurities, a familiar ache stirring within them. Timothy, still grappling with his doubt, spoke softly but with conviction. But how do we truly become free when we are so often led to believe we are unworthy? How do we find our way to the light amid such pervasive darkness? Mary smiled gently, radiating a warmth that seemed to diffuse the tension in the room. We must remember that in our brokenness, we can find hope. The story of Jesus teaches us that our worth is not defined by our failures but by His unending grace. During His darkest hours, He did not emerge as a conqueror of circumstances but as the embodiment of resilience and love. It is in our surrender to that love that we can confront the shadows within. Murphy nodded, the wisdom of his years echoing in the gentle lines of his face. Absolutely. Many of us have been haunted by the specter of shame. It's as if those failures cling to us like an unwanted cloak. We must shake it off, seek the truth of who we are, children of the light, not bound by sin but embraced in love. Eliza's voice broke the moment of reflection. What if we shared these burdens, the shame and guilt that have kept us captive, with one another? Perhaps it is in vulnerability that we truly discover the freedom of acceptance. When we lift each other, we lift ourselves. The congregation shifted in their seats, a murmur of agreement rising. There was a glimmer of hope in their eyes, a heartbeat of unity igniting within those walls. Mary could feel the momentum growing. Let us practice this vulnerability. Let us bring forth our fears, our regrets, and illuminate them with the light of truth. Only in doing so can we truly connect with one another and honor the love that binds us. With that invitation, the chapel became a sanctuary of sharing. Voices filled the space, some trembling, others strong, as each person began to share their burdens. There were confessions of anger, feelings of inadequacy, and tears of sorrow. In this sacred exchange, the shame that once isolated them began to dissipate, swallowed by the shared experiences of the grace they all sought. As each heart bared its truth, the candle flames flickered brightly, as if responding to the rising tides of faith. New warmth blossomed in the atmosphere, thickening with compassion. They were together in their need, their solace intertwining like branches of a tree reaching upward toward the heavens. And then, the room grew quiet once more, the weight of emotion settling into a tender silence. Mary looked around, her heart swelling with gratitude for the movement of the Spirit among them. God is in this moment. Look how He reveals our need for community, how His love breaks through our despair. A low hum of agreement echoed throughout the chapel, hearts ignited by something greater. But then, in that stillness, a flicker of concern tugged at Mary's heart. What if, she thought, this is just the beginning? What challenges will arise as we step into the truth of our vulnerability? Are we ready to embrace the divine plan unfolding before us? She could feel the tension in the air shift once more, an invitation to confront even deeper truths. What awaited them beyond this sacred moment? Would they discover the courage to face the battles yet unseen, or would the shadows creep upon them once more with new temptations? The winds howled outside, stirring a sense of urgency. A new journey was just beginning, one that would test their newfound resolve. As the night deepened and spirits were lifted, what else would God reveal in the days to come? The quiet reverberated through the chapel like a heartbeat, as if nature itself held its breath, steeped in the sacred atmosphere. Mary surveyed the faces of her congregation, each one reflecting a kaleidoscope of emotions: fear, hope, love, and uncertainty, all mingled together like colors on a painter's palette. She felt an urge to guide them further, to lead them deeper into this transformative moment. "Friends," she began again, her voice strong and clear, "we are at the threshold of something profound. We have named our burdens, but now we must confront our fears. We must dare to acknowledge what binds us most tightly, the lies we believe about ourselves." Timothy shifted in his seat, the flicker of struggle still evident in his eyes. What if those lies are all we've known? What if letting go seems scarier than holding on? A murmur swept through the crowd, nods of agreement. Mary stepped closer, an embodiment of gentle strength. "Ah, but remember. Every lie is a shadow cast by the light of truth. Just as dawn breaks into the darkest night, so can the truth shatter the lies we've clung to. Do not allow fear to stifle your spirit. For in the light of Christ, even the darkest things can be transformed." The voice of an elder woman, Ruth, quavered as she spoke. "But to confront the darkness within, to dive into the depths of our souls, it feels like stepping into a storm. What if we drown?" Mary's heart ached for the fear in Ruth's voice. Here is where our trust comes into play. We are never alone. The storm may rage around us, but we stand anchored in Him. Jesus did not shield from trials, He walked through them with unwavering faith. He beckons us to do the same. The path to freedom is paved with courageous steps taken in faith, even through the storms. A fresh wave of understanding swept through the chapel. The flickering candle flames seemed to dance to the rhythm of their hearts, igniting small sparks of courage within. Eliza stood now, her voice brightening the room. "Then let us be bold together. Let us not only share our burdens but also proclaim our identities in Christ, redeemed, beloved, unshackled. We are called to rise up and bear witness to the transformation that is possible for each one of us." The congregation stirred, a warmth spreading as more voices rose in affirmation. They began to speak declarations of truth over themselves, statements that painted their spirits with the colors of redemption. "I am worthy. I am loved. I am free." Each proclamation echoed louder than the storm outside. But even as they moved towards this explosive faith, Mary sensed a whisper of unease. In her heart, she knew that the shadows would fight back. Would this moment of vulnerability and revelation spark a backlash? As they prepared to embrace their newfound courage, how would the enemy respond? Outside, thunder cracked ominously, electricity crackling in the stormy sky. Mary watched as the rain splattered against the chapel windows, a reflection of the turmoil stirring within. "What awaits us is unpredictable," she said, determined yet cautious. "Each step toward light stirs the darkness into action. We must remain vigilant, ready to both confront and support one another in what might come." As they returned to their hearts' confessions, the winds howled, a reminder of the battle surrounding them. Mary lifted her gaze to the congregation, sensing the thrill of divine anticipation fill the air. What awaits us beyond our courage? What might we uncover if we choose to journey toward light and love, even when faced with new challenges? Huddled together, they could embrace the unknown, ready to share communal strength. But answered questions always beckon another mystery. What awaited them, as hope intertwined with trembling uncertainty? Would they find healing, or would darkness rise to meet them? The storm held its breath, as did they, waiting for the dawn to break. Mary embraced the silence that lingered after her words fell gently upon the congregation. The air crackled with anticipation, a tangible sense of divine presence wrapping around them. As they prepared to journey deeper, she appreciated the kaleidoscope of faith now radiating from their faces, a reflection of their shared resolve. Then, suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the windows, stark and sudden. A collective gasp rippled through the room, as fear momentarily took hold. Mary, sensing their anxiety, steadied her breath and reached for a familiar passage. "Friends, let us anchor ourselves in the Scripture, for it reminds us, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind." It was the embrace of courage they needed. Ruth sat with clasped hands, her knuckles white. But how do we push through the overwhelming waves? It's one thing to profess our truths, but another to live them out amid chaos. Mary nodded, her heart drawn to Ruth's plight. The journey requires taking each step together. In the moments when we stumble, we lean on one another, and when we feel weak, we are made strong through community. Let us share not only our burdens but our strength as well. Timothy, emboldened by the surrounding faith, stood again. So if we're to confront the storms outside and within, what if we face things we didn't expect? What if the truth reveals not just healing but deeper scars? His voice trembled, echoing every conflict rumbling beneath the surface. Mary felt the weight of his words. The truth often reveals what we bury deep. But realizing our wounds can also lead to our greatest healings. Jesus fought the ultimate battle for our freedom. We let the light shine into our memories, our pain, our shame. The more we expose it to the light, the more power we have to overcome. In that moment, the room pulsed with a renewed energy. It was as if the wind outside howled in agreement, encouraging them to press on, to unravel the layers of their hearts. Eliza's enthusiasm sparked again, as she exclaimed, "Then let our confessions break the chains. Let our truth lead to our freedom." One by one, the congregation, intoxicated by this shared determination, began to rise, voice lifting in fervor. Shouts of redemption cascaded amid the storm. The chapel, a sanctuary, transformed into a battleground where declarations of faith shielded them against the darkest lies. Joy erupted, intermingling with the relentless rain outside. Yet, underlying their triumphant cries was a visceral tension atop turmoil, a relentless reminder of the struggle that lay ahead. Mary could almost feel the enemy lurking. How relentless it must be, seeking to silence the voices that dared to resurrect the truth. Then came a sudden, eerie hush. The thunder ceased for a heartbeat, leaving an unsettling silence that enveloped them. The calm before a storm, perhaps, for unyielding spirits often face the fiercest opposition. "Stay vigilant," Mary called, her eyes fierce. "We cannot let complacency creep in, even when we feel triumphant. The enemy lies in wait with tricks up his sleeve. After sharing our strength, we must prepare our hearts for what lies ahead." But even amidst the seriousness of her words, deep within, hope surged forth. Perhaps this was where transformation lived, beyond fear and in the fullness of trust. As they fell into prayer, the divine whispered in their ears what would they find in the depths of their murky depths. And what new truths might emerge, gloriously radiant, as they embraced the uncharted waters of their faith. The storm, both outside and within, beckoned to unleash its secrets. In the heart of the storm, the chapel glowed softly, a refuge filled with souls yearning for truth. Mary felt the power of the moment swell around them, as they readied themselves to confront the daunting challenges before them. Waves of faith washed over her, an unfathomable love binding them together in this sacred space. "Now is the time for courage," she proclaimed, her voice steady, grounded in divine assurance. "Each moment we have shared has brought us closer to the truth. And there is strength in our resolve, in our willingness to face the trials that lay ahead." In her spirit, she sensed the weight of adversities, prepared to confront them, but she welcomed them as opportunities for growth. A flicker of doubt crossed Timothy's face. But how do we stay resolute when the storms come crashing down? What if we face our deepest fears and falter? Mary met his gaze with fierce compassion. "That is the power of community, my friend. Together, we can withstand the heaviest rains. With each storm, we learn to trust deeper and stand taller." Then, a moment of stillness enveloped them, and a soft breeze swept through the chapel, carrying the sweet scent of rain, a reminder of renewal, of hope. Eliza rose to her feet, her voice joyful like a sun breaking through clouds. Let us remember. In adversity, we bloom. The flower of faith springs from soil nourished by our struggles. A spontaneous surge of energy coursed through their spirits. One by one, their hearts began to intertwine, fueled by the beauty of shared burdens and collective strength, eager to anchor one another against the multiplying dangers. Let's speak our truths, Ruth gently urged. And as we do, let us cultivate understanding, compassion, and the courage to heal. With that, voices filled the space, confessions of doubts transforming to revelations of vulnerability. The room moved like a living heartbeat, thundering out the chains that once held their fears captive. I feared I would be abandoned, a soft voice broke through. A young woman stepped into the candlelight, her eyes glistening with tears. But through this community, I've found belonging. I was lost in shame, another shared, an older man now. But acceptance blooms here amongst all of you. Tears flowed freely, a divine healing cascading over them, washing away despair. Mary knelt in awe. Each story shared brought forth redemption from the shadows, giving voice to struggles and illuminating the path ahead. Together, we hold the light, Mary emphasized. We refuse to let darkness silence us. It is in our unity that we stand strong against the lies that ensnare us. We are children of the light. Cheers erupted as the walls trembled with fervor, filling the air with life, hope, and spiritual breakthrough. They stood taller, hearts lighter. The storm outside might rage, but the storm within was met with unwavering faith. Yet, beneath the joy, tension began to build anew. They sensed the lurking darkness, the doubts and fears whispering insidiously, still striving to plant seeds of dissent. Mary glanced around, feeling the weight settle back over them like a shroud. We must not grow complacent. When the murmurings of doubt return, and they will, we must remember this moment. The victory lies not in the absence of storms but in our commitment to weather them together. As she spoke, the candles flickered in agreement, illuminating their purpose, a purpose intertwined with divine love, forever forging a way to rise above. Suddenly, an awe-inspiring warmth filled the chapel. A figure shimmered at the altar, radiant and holy. Jesus stood among them, cloaked in divine presence. Fear not, beloved children. His voice resounded like healing waters breaking upon the shore. You have awakened to the power of love within your hearts. Your unity is a beacon against the darkness. Tears streamed down Mary's cheeks as a wave of peace enveloped them. In Jesus' presence, every fear melted away. Seek me in your struggles. Embrace each other in vulnerability, and together you shall conquer the mirages of despair. The congregation reverberated with solemn determination. They understood then the fight was not solely theirs but his, weaving love through the tapestry of their lives. Let us pray, Mary invited, transforming the energy into a collective moment of submission and gratitude. Kneeling together, they lifted their voices higher, reminding the heavens of their resolve. Transform our hearts. They cried, their voices entwined in holy communion, echoing through the stormy night. Fill us with your light. As the echoes resonated, the storm outside began to quiet, thunder subsiding into a gentle rhythm. Their hearts danced in time with heaven's response, a promise that they were not alone, not for a single moment. Down the road, dawn beckoned, an unveiling of deeper understanding, light revealing a new horizon bright with possibilities. Mary looked at her village, her family in faith. This is the beginning. Together, we hold the keys to freeing one another from darkness. Together, we are unfaltering, unwavering, and unstoppable. And as the first rays of light broke through the chapel window, Mary felt every heart thrum in applause, a joyful offering rising like smoke to the sky. Together, they stepped forward, a community illuminated, ready to face the dawn of their everlasting journey, a testament to love, resilience, and faith transcending all darkness. As they emerged into the warmth of a transforming day, they were no longer victims of their fears but gloriously liberated warriors of light, bold enough to embrace a future intertwined with hope. Now, beloved, if you felt that transformative power resonates within you, subscribe immediately to our channel so that you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will stir your soul. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and fuel this divine message. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this ending that has touched your heart. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this miraculous manifestation. You need to spread the light of truth and healing, for only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these vital actions. Let us illuminate the world together.